Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys watch a movie with the magic of the internet and algorithms and random number generators. With me this episode is the Katy Perry to my Taylor Swift, the Crazy Quilt to my Kite Man, or the Professor Pig to my Eggman,
Now
Kyle
we have
Mulford.
bad blood. You know we used to be close buds. Sorry, I don't want to sing too much. Even though that was the parody version.
Yes,
Thank you, Hishy.
it was excellent. And of course, I'm Noah Sappin.
Batman villains punny. Well, speaking of Batman, what did we watch this time?
We watched Batman Bad Blood, which is a DC Universe original movie. It's one of their direct-to-video animated movies. Apparently they have their own continuity for some of them, but I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I was seeing that this was a sequel to Batman vs. Robin, which I have not seen. So maybe I need to start watching some of these continuity movies. Some of these movies in this continuity, because this was going to say pretty good. This was, what was this, 2016 straight to video,
I believe so.
which I almost think these should be coming out in the theater instead of what they have coming out in the theater. So we started a new thing here where we're doing movies that are only 90% and above on Rotten Tomatoes. And, then we can find out whether the critics know what they're talking about or whether they're full of shit.
Well, here's the thing, though. How many critics came up from this on Rotten Tomatoes? How many reviews were there?
There are 5 reviews from critics on Rotten Tomatoes for this, and all 5 of them gave it a positive review, which, a positive review could still be just like 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Or like 3 stars,
3 stars,
2.5 stars.
So the fresh meter can be a little skewed in that, where like you could have something that's 100% with like 96 critics, and all of them gave it an average like 3 out of 5 stars. So
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a perfect metric, but there are very few perfect metrics. I especially love how, like, especially on Amazon, if you just look at like terrible movies on Amazon, just click 5-star reviews. They're pretty great. The reasoning behind them are strange, but
yeah, if you go the extreme on them, the 5-star and the 1-star reviews, both extremes are pretty entertaining.
My favorite 1-star review was from The Wolf of Wall Street. It was like, there were no wolves in this movie, 1 star.
Oh,
Or like for The Shape of Water, you actually don't see any explicit genitals of the fish. How am I supposed to watch this movie? I can't see like the fish genitals, 1 star.
well, she explains how it works at least.
There's a great Twitter account just called Amazon Movie Reviews. It just finds the weirdest 5-star and weirdest 1-star reviews.
I might have to follow that account.
It's a lot of fun.
So on to the movie. What's your snowball pitch for this movie?
Batman and then Batwoman, and then they all fight generic bad guys and nuns.
Yes, they do. And I'm going to say I always end up spoiling movies on this podcast, at least. So,
This is your official spoiler warning.
this is my official spoiler warning.
Your spoiler orang.
My bat spoiler,
Bat spoiler.
like the spoiler on my Batmobile.
Of course.
Because if you are worried about spoilers, then I would actually go out and watch this first, because it actually is a rather good movie.
We may have watched the different movies then, because I did not particularly care for it in the same way that you did.
Okay, well, this will be interesting then. I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but I enjoyed it.
We'll get into it.
All right, so let's find out if we watch the same movie.
Okay.
The movie I watched opens up with Batwoman fighting Electrocutioner and Tusk and Firefly, and then, well, they're all...
Killer Moth was there too? I think it was Killer Moth.
I think it might be Killer Moth. They never say his name, but it has to have been.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see out of the shadows, Batman. You think Batman's coming, and then it ends up being Batwoman, and so she fights him, and then Batman comes in, and well, he kind of is on her case because she's using a gun, and he gives her.
Use guns.
Okay, that was a terrible Batman voice, only because this guy had a high pitched voice, like is played by O'Mara. What's his name?
Jason O'Mara?
Jason O'Mara.
What if it was
And
Jason Momoa?
that'd be
Great.
But
He was still in his full Aquaman costume in the recording booth.
he always wears it. I didn't like his voice, and he's done several movies as Batman in this animated universe, and I just wasn't a fan of him. But all the rest of the voice work I thought was fine.
Yeah, yeah, he did the job. I mean, I guess I'm pretty skewed in the sense that I grew up on, Kevin Conroy,
Yeah,
Batman the Animated Series, which is still extremely popular to this day. So that's kind of what I always associate with Batman's voice. And then, then there's still like the more recent, like the Christian Bale Batman voice, which is, just throat growling. But also, I really like the Dietrich Bader Batman voice.
yeah, he does a good job too.
In Batman the Brave and the Bold, because that's kind of a nice mix between Kevin Conroy and Adam West kind of winking at the camera.
Yeah.
But let's kind of explain who Batwoman is. I mean, they talk about her origin in this movie, but for those kind of unfamiliar with your character, what's her thing?
She is the daughter of a general, and Colonel Kane actually knows about her being Batwoman, which is different.
Her name is Catherine Kane. She goes by Kate.
And in the comics, she is like Bruce Wayne's cousin or something, right?
It depends.
Does it depend on the continuity? Because they didn't really imply that in here. But sometimes when you read the comics, they're cousins.
Basically, she was just like someone who's inspired them. Batman's like, hey, you do a good job. You could join the Bat family or whatever.
But she likes to be on her own and doesn't actually want... She wears the Bat cowl and the Bat symbol on her chest, but she doesn't want to be part of the Bat family, which is kind of confusing.
And also, she has like a long red wig.
Yeah, because she's got the short hair when she's just Catherine Kane.
And in the comics, was originally just pitched as just like a potential like girlfriend for Batman back in, I want to say, the Silver Age, because this was after there were, I guess, that one guy who wrote like whatever the book was that said like that Batman and Robin were gay or something. So then, so then that's how she was originally created. And wasn't until
and now, ironically, Batwoman is gay.
Yes, and I think it's great because we need more visibly queer characters in media in general. And as of this recording, she is going to make her television debut pretty soon, so that's cool.
Yeah, because she's going to be in the crossover, right, on the CW?
Yeah, for the Arrowverse or whatever.
Yeah. I'll have to wait for that to come out on Netflix because we didn't start watching it at the beginning of the season.
How could you?
I know, because we haven't finished last season yet. We've got a couple episodes left. But anyway, she's fighting. Batman comes in and scolds her for using a gun. They fight, and then the big bad guy for the show comes in, and he's going to blow up this building, whatever they're fighting in. And Batman saves her by throwing her out the window into the water, and he blows up with the building, and all the bad guys blow up.
Yeah, and this is the last Batman movie because he is now officially dead in this continuity, and he will definitely never come back ever. That's the last we will ever see of him. So,
Because people always stay dead in comic books and comic book movies.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, there's really only like 3 people that will stay dead in any sort of mainstream comic books. And these are Thomas and Martha Wayne and Uncle Ben.
That's true. Except, we always get the alternate universe version, so like they still fit them in there somehow, but just not into the main continuity.
Yeah, like the Flashpoint continuity or wherever, but we don't like to talk about Flashpoint or the New 52. It was okay.
I liked the Flashpoint storyline, but New 52 was, a little.
Everyone has a collar. Even like Wonder Woman, who not even wearing like a collared shirt in her costume, but she still has a collar, just not attached to anything.
Well, they're all shock leashes,
I guess.
So when the building blows up, then it cuts to the credits, and you get Batman, bad blood. And then we cut to Damian Wayne at a monastery, and he checks his YouTube out at the monastery and finds out that Batman's dead because he gets the Gotham channel.
I assume this
up there in the mountains.
They've got like a fiber optic. They've got really great like kind of 4G, like 1 gigabyte a second Wi-Fi out there. So that's the real reason it's out there, just because they have great internet.
And I like that these movies, maybe there's continuity, so this is a sequel, so maybe you find out more in Batman versus Robin, but like I watched this as a standalone, and yes, I do know coming into this the backstory of these characters, but I like that they don't sit there and over explain it like they would in a live action blockbuster movie where, Damian is just like, all you learn in here is that he's the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. And you don't question it. It's just the way it is. And
Yeah, I mean,
if this were a blockbuster movie like Batman v Superman, there would be 45 minutes dedicated to that story.
and then it would still be somehow made more confusing in the director's cut. Stupid.
Worst decision ever.
There are a lot of bad decisions in that movie, but that's a topic for another day.
We're talking about a better Batman movie. Well, at least, I think maybe.
It is better than Batman v Superman, I will give it that. Because you could watch Batman v Superman you can watch this movie 2.5 times before you finish Batman v Superman.
It was all wrong. I am a defender of Batman v Superman. I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is, but there are some pretty bad parts. And they rush a lot of stuff.
And there's too much going on. And it really would have been much more interesting if, instead of actually having Batman in it, because everyone knows about Batman, just make it more of the Man of Steel sequel that it should have been. And imagine, instead of having Jesse Eisenberg being really weird as Lex Luthor, just have Ben Affleck play Lex Luthor. And change
the Death of Superman story should have been about 2 or 3 movies long.
Yeah, because you can only do something like that once.
Yep.
And they screwed it up, and you don't even care.
Now they need to scratch and start the DCEU all over again. Although I'm excited for Aquaman because I think it looks pretty good.
I hope it's good. I mean, I really like the director.
But I thought the trailers for Suicide Squad looked fantastic.
Yeah, and but once again, the only thing that ever really tells you if a movie will be good is you have to sit down and watch it.
But anyway, back to this animated one that nobody watched, but everyone watched Batman v Superman. Well, five critics watched this. We get Nightwing fighting Blockbuster in Bloodhaven while he's on the phone with Starfire. It just says Corey on the phone, so that's just a little nod that they dated in the comics. And
I thought that was a nice touch.
I did too. I thought it was a very Dick Grayson move to be talking to her while he's fighting, some bad guy on the street.
And we all know that this Dick Grayson has the best butt in the DC universe. There's some pretty funny memes about it.
But this is another thing that I'd like to bring up about this movie that I liked was that there are so many bad guys and it doesn't feel overcrowded because they don't explain them. They just go, here's a bad guy. His name is Blockbuster. Here's Firefly. Here's Tusk. Here's Electrocutioner. I've never even heard of Electrocutioner, but I just went with it because, okay, he's like some guy that has an electric gun. Yeah. So that looks like a Batman villain. Cool. Another thing that in a live action movie, they would have explained everyone. If they did this in live action, there are so many villains in this would be a 13-hour movie.
So it'll be a miniseries?
It kind of would have to be, yeah. But he's fighting them, and then you got Alfred pretending to be Bruce because Batman's been missing for so long.
Yeah, and and then of course
Alfred
calls in Bruce, and then they cut to this big meeting with Lucius Fox and the board. Was like, "Where's Mr. Wayne? We have this MacGuffin Tech Summit that he needs to be here." And he's actually off in Central America in the rainforest doing whatever. And then he Skype calls in, and then you realize that something's not quite right because he says bloody, and everyone knows it's a British slang term. So then we cut back to the Batcave, and of course it's actually Alfred. And then he has a nice conversation with Nightwing.
Yeah, and then this is where we do a lot of introductions, because then after the meeting, we're introduced to Luke Fox, which is Lucius Fox's son. And then we're introduced to Colonel Kane because he's meeting his daughter at a cafeteria and talking about her being Batwoman and everything.
And he puts his booze in some coffee.
Yeah, he's a boozer.
Booze coffee.
And then we have Black Mask in here because we got to get another villain in. And Grayson comes in. And this is just to introduce Grayson taking over the cowl because they do the whole, which they do in a lot of the cartoon movies. He walks up to the case that the cowl is in, and then you see his reflection looking like he's wearing it. And then in the next scene, he's fighting in that cowl.
And then he's not happy about it. He's like, I tried so hard to get away from this, and now he keeps pulling me back in. I just think, it's just like Al Pacino and Godfather 3, the one people from Godfather 3 that people remember is like, just when I think about, they keep pulling me back in. Al Pacino would make an okay Batman. Okay, 70s Al Pacino would be interesting.
Yeah, yes.
Not like Al Pacino now.
No, not Al Pacino now, definitely not.
God bless him.
But well, that's the thing is Grayson grew up to be kind of whiny because he's like, oh, Bruce Wayne took me in and he gave me this life and everything, but now I'm in his shadow. I'm
going to go hang out with the Titans and my cool space girlfriend.
Fire out of her fingertips.
Even though they're actually
fire hair.
It's not fire, it's actually star bolts. And depending on who's drawing her hair is really, really long.
It looks like flames. So the fight with Black Mask seems to just be to introduce Grayson as Batman because, Batman's missing for most of the movie, which is great because I didn't like his voice that much. And then Robin jumps in, and then they confront Batwoman there.
And this is Damian Wayne Robin. He's like, You're not my real dad. And just what I like about the character of Damian Wayne is that he's really good at being he takes himself so seriously. It's always satisfying. It's always really funny, at least to me, when someone just puts him in his place because he's so darn serious, but he's still 12 and he's kind of short.
Yeah, he thinks he's so much better than everybody. I love when he gets put in his place.
It's very satisfying. It's really funny every time.
And this is actually one of the things. Another thing I liked about this movie is that in the comics, just a couple years ago, they had the death of Batman. Because Bruce Wayne died
6 years ago.
The whole death of Batman, I still to this day don't even know how he died because it was such a convoluted storyline.
It was at the end of Infinite Crisis? It was Final Crisis.
Yeah,
and then
he was shot into the past or something.
Well,
it turns out
he got shot by the Omega beams of Darkseid, which sends you back in the past, and then he had to fight his way back through time and.
Well, blah, 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 blah. What good came out of it was that Damon Wayne came into continuity as his son. And then when Batman died, someone had to take up the cowl. And so there's a whole battle for the cowl thing. And Dick Grayson took over. And I actually really enjoyed Dick Grayson Batman with Damian Wayne Robin. I loved that run.
Yeah, that was during Grant Morrison's run, correct?
I think so. I think he's right.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I loved that combination because Dick Grayson is written in a way that he is a totally different Batman. And then Damian Wayne, like you said, is just kind of fun because he's so arrogant. And then when he gets put in his place, it's just fantastic.
It's really funny every time.
It is. And if they write them right, which if that was Morrison, he was writing them really right because I was almost sad to see Bruce Wayne come back into continuity because I wanted Dick Grayson to continue being Batman.
Yeah, so a megalomaniac is not funny, but when it's a megalomaniac in a position of very little power, then it becomes funny.
Hilarious. But we've got Robin and then Grayson Batman and Batwoman are now together, and then someone knows all about the Waynes and the Bat family and everything, and they're attacking certain things. So they attack Lucius and Luke Fox in Wayne Enterprises, and they know about the vault where Lucius keeps all of Batman's toys.
Yes.
And Lucius gets injured in this fight in there, and then we get Tetch, the Mad Hatter. And we see him experimenting on Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne's still alive.
What? Final character and one of DC's top selling and top most popular heroes who's been around and popular since 1939 is still around. They're not going to get rid of him.
And they're working with Talia al Ghul,
who's Batman sometimes not girlfriend, and then they had
a kid not in continuity, and then because of different crossovers and whatnot, the kid became comics are really confusing. This is maybe why they didn't put the origins of every character into this movie.
Yeah, there's certain characters that just become like continuity black holes, like Donna Troy, who's like Wonder Woman's cousin or something, but then she wasn't, but then she
Yeah,
was.
it just kept going back and forth, and I don't even know what half the time I don't even know who killed Batman's parents. So, is it Joe Chill right now? I don't know.
I always like the interpretation that it was just some random guy, and it doesn't really matter who it was. It's just
It was an event
just
that caused
just a
Batman.
random crime. Kind of like it doesn't really make sense if you don't want to know who, like the name of the dude that actually shot and killed like the Punisher's parents or something. Not the Punisher's parents, the Punisher's family.
Yeah.
Or his parents. I don't know.
So, well, then speaking of Kane earlier being a gay woman, she has a scene where she gets to hit on Renee Montoya in the bar, just to have a scene there.
Which is fun. I like Renee Montoya. She became the question for a while, but before that, she was just a cop.
And she was in that Gotham Central, which was a fantastic run too.
Yeah, Gotham Central I think, is this really underrated series. And basically, what it was is just like it's like a cop show just set in Gotham City, and then there's a night crew and there's a day crew, and they just have to deal with stuff. I read the first trade of Gotham Central. It's a lot of fun because it's just like, here's what it's like to be a normal cop working in a place that has like crazy supervillains and crap happening all the time.
Yeah, and if you get nothing else out of this, here's a bunch of great storylines to go read. So they just have that little scene, and then we have Heretic, who is the big bad guy. He finds Robin in the Batcave.
And I guess, how would we describe Heretic? Heretic kind of he's a big, muscly dude with like a Batman mask.
He almost looked like Bane with a Batman mask.
Yeah, that was weird. I thought, well, is Bane doing something new here?
Well, I thought it was Bane at first, and then they called him Heretic, and he had like a bat mask on. And the funny thing is, how I didn't like the Batman voice? Whoever was doing Heretic, I think what was his name? It was Travis Willingham. I thought he had a great Batman voice.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Batman's kind of whole thing is that he's supposed to, strike fear into the hearts of criminals because they're a cowardly and superstitious lot or whatever.
Yeah, so he gets Robin in the Batcave because he knows all about the Batcave now because Tetch was like attached to Bruce Wayne's mind when they're working on him, so like he's getting all the secrets out of him and everything.
Like, oh, it's so hard to work through because there's so much trauma. And then of course we have a nice Batman nightmare sequence where his parents die again, and then
because we need to see that one more time. That was one thing I was like, we don't need to see this. Everyone in the world knows.
At this point, he's very ubiquitous. I mean, you could like see just waltz. You could ask some random Joe on the street saying, "Hey, where did Batman come from?" And then it's been made several times.
And I'm going to say, if someone doesn't actually know that it was because his parents were killed in Crime Alley, then they're probably never going to watch this movie.
Yeah, then you're talking to the wrong person. But, it's pretty, for the most part, at least common pop culture knowledge. And all you really need to know about Batman is a rich guy goes out at night, dressed up as a bat, and fights crime with a bunch of cool gadgets and stuff.
Yeah, and we get all of the Bat family in here because then we cut to Luke Fox, who is he a recent addition to the DC comics? Because I don't really remember reading about Lucius Fox's son much, and now Luke Fox is a new guy called Batwing, which he gets his new Batwing suit in here, and then they make fun of him because he calls it the Batwing.
Yeah, and then they talk about him and his origin. Basically, he's a war vet, wants to forge his own path. Then his dad's like, hey, you should come work for Wayne Enterprises. Then when his dad gets hurt in this movie, he's like, oh man, I'm going to go back to the vault. And then he finds like a super cool robo bat suit that can fly and shoot lasers or whatever.
Must have been the latest thing Lucius was working on for Wayne.
Yeah, just for fun.
And then we go back to the Heretic and crew working on Bruce Wayne, and you find out that I wrote down that Heretic is a clone who just wants to feel love. I just want to feel loved. We find out that he's a clone of Damian Wayne, but then his age was sped up. So here's spoilers. His age was sped up, and so she's trying to make like this perfect soldier, which is what she was trying to do with her actual son until he went and hung out with Batman. But he is trying to feed all of these memories of Bruce Wayne into him as his father so that he actually has memories, because all he is a fighting machine. And then he gets down on his knees. Mother, I just want to feel your love. That's all I want. And then she's like, you're worthless, and shoots him in the forehead.
Yeah, Heretic was here for a while, and then he's just gone about 30 minutes in. Kind of like how Electrocutioner was there for a while, then he just gets shot and killed. Like, oh, okay. I guess we're done with that character.
Yeah. And then we get the Bat crew runs into nuns with guns because they're up in this church on a mountain is where they
gotta go rescue Bruce Wayne or whatever, because Robin goes out to look for him, then he gets captured or something, then then Dick Grayson or Nightwing, I'm just gonna call him Nightwing for easy purposes, so Nightwing, Batwing, and then Batwoman is like, all right, we're all gonna work together, we're gonna go rescue him because he's Batman and we need Batman around.
Yeah, and then Grayson had revealed himself to Batwoman, and then when they rescue Bruce Wayne, he gets all pissy at him. It's like, we're just giving away all our secrets to everybody.
I see how it is. You just want to give her my social security number and my PIN number and my credit card number too.
Did you give her the keys to my car?
Well, I just hope it's the Bat credit card from Batman and Robin. Good through forever. Expire never. Never leave home without it.
No. Holy rusted metal, Batman. Oh, wait, that was Batman Forever. Sorry. So then they rescue Batman, and so all seems well, and the movie's not over, because then we see Colonel Kane attacking his daughter in her apartment.
Oh, no.
And you find out, like, Wayne Tech has this new initiative going on.
A magic communication device.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's being hacked by the bad guys, because that never happens in Gotham City.
And it's a brainwashing scheme.
And that's kind of his whole shtick. He's kind of a brainwashing guy.
Yeah, and then Batman and Talia get together and fight all the good guys, and Batman breaks Dick's arm.
Yeah.
Just snaps it.
Because, of course, Batman is brainwashed too, and there's like, oh no, we gotta help break him out of it. So then, I guess we find out Talia's final scheme is that at this big press conference that Bruce Wayne is giving, is through a bunch of like famous people and powerful people, dignitaries, foreign dignitaries, congressmen, politicians, business people. They all go to this conference and they all get these really cool new tech things, which is basically like, stuff translates stuff for you automatically when you're talking to someone.
Yeah, that would be great technology.
And then surprise, surprise, he's under hypnosis or whatever, and he's hypnotizing. Then we have, Mad Hatter shows up, hypnotizes everybody, and then they're all going to take over the world. But then you'll never guess what happens.
But wait, during the fight, there's this whole thing where, Damian Wayne in the comics, and most people aren't going to know this unless they read the comics. He was brought up by Talia to be like a killer, like this perfect soldier and everything. And then Bruce Wayne teaches him not to kill. Well, in this movie, it seems like bad guys are actually dying left and right because they're falling off cliffs with rocks falling on top of them.
Yeah, Firefly just kind of exploded.
They're blowing up. Like, these people are not surviving. But then Damian sees one of the bad guys about to topple over an edge and fall into, like, machinery and die. And he's like, no! And runs and gets his ankle with the bat rope. And he's like, justice, not vengeance. And then all of a sudden the rope snaps. He just goes, oh, damn. I just thought it was funny. Like, what was that scene about? Like, people have been dying left and right. Like, apparently, but then Batman was also scolding about using guns. So I'm kind of conflicted on the message.
Yeah, this whole weird bit of, sometimes Batman and Batman comics are kind of fuzzy on whether or not he kills people.
Yeah. Well,
But-
because then we go to Alfred actually gets his moment to shine, which I always love when that happens in the comics or movies or whatever, where he gets to, beat someone up, and he beats up like the tech guy, Cutler,
Oh yeah.
who was hacking into everything, and
He had like a one virtual boy thing on his head. I don't know how this is.
a virtual monocle.
Yeah, he had like this generic tech thing, or not a cyber eye, but like a.
And then to go along with like people dying, this one like everything else you see off camera, but when he beats up Cutler, he throws him against the machinery, and that like short circuits it, and it goes through the wires, and Mad Hatter's head literally blows up on screen, and there is no head left.
Oh yeah, Mad Hatter just explodes.
I was like, was he supposed to be a robot, or did we just see a person's head explode?
Did Alfred just commit double homicide?
I think he did. So Damian Wayne is all
And
about.
he says something like, I always knew he was in over his head, or some dumb one-liner.
Oh, and then we get the scene where Bruce is fighting everybody, and he's about to like beat up Nick and shoot him in the head, and then he gives him a talk, and he's like, Bruce, you don't do this.
Save Martha! Why did you say that to me? I'm sorry, but that will. I still can't. I know it's been like 2 years. I still can't get over it.
I don't like to talk about that scene because I'm not as pissed about that scene as other people are. I get why it was sloppily written, but it makes sense.
Yeah, intent versus execution, and then execution really is everything. But.
Yeah. So, but he breaks through to Bruce. He talks some sense into him, and all is right with the world. And at the end, we see the bat signal go up in the sky, and everyone we've met through here joins up, and then we see the Penguin like careening through the streets and can't catch me, coppers, because it's a 1930s movie.
and after posing for whatever, then they jump off and the roof to go after him all together because they're all a Bat family. But wait,
from behind the water tower,
we see Kite Man.
Was it Plaid Man or something?
Crazy Quilt.
Crazy Quilt. Oh, Batgirl shows up. The end, and she's in her Burnside outfit. Batgirl of Burnside.
Oh, you guys don't even know your Burnside.
That comic run from a couple years ago. Well, because I'm still so far behind in the comics that I'm still like in 2 years ago comics.
Nice.
But yeah, so then the end. So now we've got like a bigger Bat family. So if this continuity is going on, I'd actually like to go on to see what they do with these characters after that.
Probably more stuff because they make these, I guess, DC Universe movies pretty frequently, at least a couple a year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them, and I think a bunch of them are on Netflix, which that's where you can watch this one.
Or you could probably find them on DC Universe.
DC Universe, or buy them at your local
video
Best Buy. I don't know.
I didn't have them at the library. Check your local library.
Not enough people use the library for movies. I use it constantly.
Me too.
So it actually had a pretty good cast besides, my complaints about Jason O'Mara. We had Batwoman was Yvonne Strahovski, who most people would know as Sarah from Chuck, which I really like that show, and I liked her in that.
I mean, I never saw Chuck, but sure. Didn't
that
start with Zachary Levi?
Yeah, it did. It was such a good show.
And now he's going to be Shazam. It's all connected.
All connected. And Talia al Ghul is Morena Baccarin, which, people now are going to know her from Deadpool as Deadpool's girlfriend / wife. Yeah, Vanessa. But
character was originally. Never mind. We're not going to get into Vanessa.
A lot of people will also recognize her from Firefly, and not the Batman villain Firefly.
Another connection. Then Nightwing is played by Sean Maher, who I believe played Simon in Firefly.
I just wrote he's been in a bunch of TV stuff.
He was in Firefly. He was Simon, yeah.
Okay. And then we had a couple of guys that are animated pros, like Steve Blum, which I don't recognize that name, but he has 728 credits on IMDb. And he played Black Mask in Firefly. Ernie Hudson plays Lucius Fox.
Who's just still really cool. No wonder it's like, man, they should have just put like Lucius Fox in sunglasses and then just have Ernie Hudson just talk in his speaking voice. He's the coolest guy around.
And then, of course, Blockbuster and Tusk were played by John DiMaggio, who has 374 credits, but I will always forever know him as Bender the robot from Futurama.
I just imagine him speaking in Bender's voice the whole time. Makes all
I
those.
want a Batman villain with Bender's voice. That would be perfect.
I just want Futurama to meet up with Batman or some other.
Could actually use, just like the way he would talk too.
Yes.
Because I think that could come across as a villain.
All I want to do is kill all humans. Would you recommend this movie?
I would recommend this movie. A few things that I liked about it. I liked that, like I said, they were able to bring in all these characters. I wish that they would start doing these in the big blockbuster movies live action. They bring in all these characters and they don't explain them away. Like, it's just, oh, here's a bunch of Batman villains. Just accept them as cool Batman villains instead of just the henchmen. And then also, I really thought the fight sequences were really well done in the animation. I liked a lot of the fights, and the score was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the score was...
It wasn't memorable compared to...
It's serviceable. I mean, It's not like Danny Elfman or Shirley
it's not
Walker.
something you're going to hum later, but like while I was watching the movie, it's not anything I'm going to remember later, but while I was watching, it was very effective, and it really worked. So there was a lot going for this movie, and I enjoyed it. So...
Yeah, and also... what else did I like? Maybe that was it. It was the movie. I mean, the movie is just like, what, an hour 10, hour 15?
Yeah, and that was another great thing. It's just a short watch.
It's short, but I don't know. It didn't really do it for me for whatever reason. It just felt like after a while,
maybe
like
if it was
kids playing with action figures.
Maybe if it was like 2 hours long, I would have liked it less because it was a very simple plot line.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was like cool because it was like an hour and 12 minutes of just a bunch of Batman characters and, at least a decent mystery in there, so.
Yes. I don't know. It's short, but it almost felt like something about the pacing just felt off to me. There wasn't, because, a lot of times, especially you've got, your rising action, climax, falling action. It just kind of felt like action scene, something vaguely related, action scene, something vaguely. It just felt like it was in a hurry to get to the action scenes.
Okay.
It didn't really have those kind of quiet, important moments that you would see in something like Batman the Animated Series, which always felt like it almost had like pitch perfect pacing in every episode. Even in something like, it can still tell like a really compelling story in like 20 minutes. Because if you go back and watch like, I think Heart of Ice, which is the introduction of Mr. Freeze in Batman the Animated Series, that episode is a masterpiece, and it still tells a complete story in only 20 minutes. This just kind of felt like, oh, hey, and now we're fighting again, and now we're vague mystery stuff that I don't really care about, and now we're fighting again, and now there's nuns with nuns that are also ninjas and referred to in the script as nunjas. Okay, well, I mean, I want to see
nuns with guns.
I want to see nuns with guns. Sounds like a 70s like exploitation movie that I'm surprised we haven't come across it yet. I'm sure it is. I mean, I saw one movie called None of That, where it's like where it's like a kind of a nun fighting like others. Just fighting, like the mob or whatever. It was super low budget, but it was fun because there's like Jesus shows up and he has a musical number and yes, but Jesus is like kind of more techno, like auto-tune Jesus, and he's just like, but it's a catchy song, and then like the leader of the mob is like hangs out with the devil or something. It's weird.
I'll look that one up. So I enjoyed it. Not a masterpiece, but I do give it a positive review, and I would recommend it to Batman fans just because, like I said, it's short. You're a little more lukewarm on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I feel like if you were watching this as a standalone and weren't that familiar, it could seem a little obtuse, which I think is unfair, because for something like some other DC animated direct-to-video stuff, there's one which I really enjoyed, was like Superman Doomsday, what it was called. Basically did the death and resurrection of Superman in like an hour and a half, but still told the complete story, and he still felt it. It was still very affecting. Well, I mean, like even when Bruce Wayne was sort of like being tortured and stuff, I didn't really care. I just wanted like, all right, what's gonna happen next? He didn't seem to take time to care about any of these characters, even though I do like Batman a lot. And we're sitting in a room, and just to my right, and about 5 feet, is a giant Batman clock, and then behind me on the wall, there's more Batman stuff.
And a whole rack full of comics. So what is your double feature then?
I was gonna take this in a different direction. This is something more recent, so I'd say for my double feature, I would recommend Teen Titans Go to the Movies, because that one's fun. It was a theatrical release, but what's great about Teen Titans Go to the Movies is that it is just chock full of jokes, a nice variety of jokes. If you don't like Teen Titans Go, that's fine. But this movie is great, stand on its own, and it's really, really funny. It's just packed to the gills with jokes, and if you are more of like a comics fan, there's a lot of great sort of goofy one-off in jokes, but the humor is also broad enough where like even if you're not that big of a comics fan, like I was actually saw this with my sister who knows enough, but she's not deep into it. But she even got a lot of the jokes and was still tons of fun.
I watched this with my daughters in the theater. They're 9 and 6, and they know a little bit of comics just, through me. But, they're not going to get a lot of the references, and they still loved it too.
Oh, that movie is a blast, and there's some great song sequences.
And the Stan Lee cameo is the best.
There's the Stan Lee.
It is the best Stan Lee cameo in all of the movies.
Yes.
And it's in a DC movie.
Yes, that is a great Stan Lee cameo. And I'm not going to spoil it, but so definitely watch that. And just also the songs in that, it's a musical, and the songs in that are pretty good.
Yeah.
And it does enough. It starts up, introduces the Teen Titans, kind of goes through their whole shtick, and then the plot of the movie is the Teen Titans are too silly to get a movie, so Robin's now wants to do everything he can to try and get a movie.
It's a lot
because all the other superheroes have movies.
It's a lot of meta humor. So if you want a kid-friendly version of meta, like Deadpool's out right now, but if you want a kid-friendly version of meta, go watch Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Oh, it's so good. I need to get that. I need to own that movie. It's because there's just so many jokes.
I was going to go a little different route than you, but I wanted to recommend another movie just in this current run of DC animated movies.
Lego Batman?
Although that one is great.
I love Lego Batman. Lego Batman and Teen Titans Go to the Movies probably make a great double feature.
That would make a good double feature. But I was going to go with just something more in the same tone. And actually, sadly enough, it does have Jason O'Mara as Batman. But and it may not be the greatest movie, but it's the current Death of Superman movie that just came out this year, actually. And I'm only recommending that because, like we talked about in Batman v Superman, we're just sitting there making fun of it because they rushed the Death of Superman. And this current animated version took it and went with the original story from the comic line, and they condensed it into an hour-and-a-half movie actually pretty well. The only thing is that there is a few things that they altered because it was made after the New 52, so some of the characters were different, like portrayed a little different than the old comic series, but it actually took the time to tell the Death of Superman and like how this Doomsday character is just this nonstop like menace, and he just plows through like the Flash and Batman and Wonder Woman and everything to show just how powerful he is and how unstoppable he is, and finally gets confronted by Superman at the end. And I thought it told the story a lot better than Batman v Superman did, because it was kind of a side story in that movie. So I think if you're interested in the Doomsday story, then this new version isn't too bad of a watch. So, and I'm not sure where you can watch that one, if it's on any streaming services, but I'm sure with this whole slew being thrown up on Netflix, it'll end up on one of the streaming services eventually. So
I guess now while you're doing the thing, I just want to highlight one of my favorite gags from Teen Titans Go to the Movies. There's a part where they're walking through like the film set, just all the movies they're making, and one of them was Batman v Superman 2. It was like, what's your mom's name? Martha. My mom's name is Martha too. Then they get serious again. What's your dad's name? And I just burst out laughing, as I did a lot of times in that movie.
I'm having trouble getting to the
Okay, so
randomizer.
I will just keep vamping and talking about random things that I enjoyed or I didn't enjoy about various Batman-related paraphernalia. Let's see. Did you end up watching Justice League, Kyle?
The animated series?
No, not the animated series, which is amazing, but the
Oh,
2017, the Justice League movie
yes,
with
I did.
Wonder Woman and Aqua Bro, and I actually liked the Flash in that movie. The Flash was kind of fun.
I did too. We're having technical difficulties
Ezra
here,
Miller did a good job for the Flash,
but I will
and
get this.
I still think that Cyborg could have been much better, just because he seemed a little too glum in the Cyborg that I like. Because I like the Cyborg who's kind of a bit of a jokester, but at the same time he's a tech genius and has some darkness. But
I like him better as a Teen Titan than I do as a Justice League member.
Yeah, he's fine in a Justice League member, but he just plays off so well, especially particularly with Beast Boy. I still think if they were still committed to doing, like at one point they were committed to doing like a Cyborg solo movie. If they do a Cyborg solo movie, what they should do is have it be like a buddy cop movie with him and Beast Boy, because they play off each other really well. They've got complementary power sets in the sense that, you know, he's all technology, and then Beast Boy is all, you know, kind of more natural animals that could work together in sort of almost a mismatched Lethal Weapon sort of way and try and solve a mystery. So that's my basic pitch for a buddy cop movie. But anyway, who knows how much of this will be cut out. Leave it in and just have a nice long rambling episode that people love. I just love listening to the sound of my own beautiful voice as we're typing in things on the computer now.
And you can probably hear the typing.
Typing. So that's what your social security number is. I will now read it aloud for the audience. What if you did this Batman Bad Blood as like with a double feature of Return of the Cape Crusaders, which is an animated one, but it goes back to the old Adam West and Burt Ward version? I think that'd be a nice double feature as well. Have you seen Return of the Cape Crusaders?
No.
Basically, it's just like it's a movie with Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin, sort of kind of back in the saddle doing their own thing. And like one of my favorite jokes of that series was always how everything was labeled. And there's a great Twitter account called Bat Labels, and it just goes through all the labels from the 1966 Batman series. This weird stuff like power on, last bit of energy, on, off. Very specific things like abandoned factory. One of them was like a Wayne parachute retrieval van or something like that. Everything is labeled.
Okay, I think we're there.
Are you sure?
We've got movies. What kind of genre do we want here?
I'm thinking
This one was under action adventure, right?
yes. Do maybe more of like a musical. We haven't done a musical for a while, and I like musicals.
Okay.
And let's do musical, and then 90% or above. And here we go.
Spin the wheel. Spin.
And we got the Beatles, the 8 Days a Week, which is a documentary. So let's not do that one.
No. I will recommend that one, though, because it was a good movie.
Yes.
So let's spin this again.
Spin the wheel again. Till the clouds roll by. Wait a minute. We already did that one. That's funny. All right. So now we're...
Apparently, there are only 2 musicals over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes that are on our streaming.
All right. Let's try fantasy. Someone at the door, Kyle?
Is our water filter.
Oh, okay. So...
If you're hearing a loud pounding sound, that's our water filter.
So this is a movie called Slash. It's a fantasy comedy. Freshman Neil Vanguard's stories are all he cares about until he meets the older Julia, who pushes him to put his own fanfic online. When the website's moderator takes a special interest in Neil's work, it opens up a whole new universe.
Oh.
So it's Slash as in slash fiction. I finally hope we get... I just imagine what do you think his fan fiction is going to be about? Like smutty?
Yes.
The smut?
It's going to be the origin story of Twilight.
No, it's going to be Pregnant Sonic and Wolverine.
Oh, no, not Twilight.
Pregnant Wolverine and Pregnant Sonic. And then throw in, I don't know, random Doctor Who character as well.
Pregnant Wolverine. Wait, is it Pregnant X-23?
No.
Did Wolverine actually get pregnant like Junior?
Pregnant Logan.
Like Junior. Is Danny DeVito in this movie?
Yes, it's just like Junior.
Danny DeVito is Wolverine.
Danny DeVito is Wolverine. Well, I mean, he's about the right height, because Wolverine is only supposed to be like 5'3".
Okay, so this is
called... Maybe it's like an actual Wolverine, and not Wolverines according to X-Men Origins Wolverine, which are apparently kind of wolves. That's not what a Wolverine is. I wish it was the Wolverine from All New Wolverine, because there's an actual Wolverine named Jonathan in that one. It's a gift from Squirrel Girl.
I like Squirrel Girl. They need a Squirrel Girl movie.
Oh yes, please. She needs to save the Avengers. I want Squirrel Girl. She has beaten Thanos.
She has, and she brags about it all the time.
Yes.
So you can watch Slash on Prime Video, or if you don't have Prime Video, you can watch it on Tubi TV or Vudu.
And so yeah, smutty slash fiction between, I bet it's going to be Optimus Prime and Starscream finally confessing love for each other.
Oh, it might be kind of weird because it's got Michael Ian Black in it. Okay, so next time we got Slash. So until next time.
Until next time,
we got bad blood.
Fanfiction.net.
and we'd like to put out there, you can find me at AwesomeKM on Twitter.
And you can find me on at Noah.Saturn, I think. We'll put it in the description.
Yes.
/fiction.net.